The Maple Leafs snap a two-game losing streak as Joseph Woll stands on his head in Columbus. Hey everyone, welcome to Inside the Leafs. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun Maple Leafs writers Lance Hornby and Terry Koshan. And guys, Joseph Woll definitely looking like his old self since returning to the Maple Leafs, and the latest effort by him spectacular, helping the Maple Leafs get an OT win over the Columbus Blue Jackets. Lance, we'll start with you. It's only 5 games, but 253 goals against average and 921 save percentage. Pretty impressive for a guy that's missed a lot of time and is still trying to find his footing back in the NHL.
Yeah, things could have gone the opposite way for the Maple Leafs last night, pretty early, and there was one off the crossbar early that those kind of things certainly weren't happening for Anthony Stolarz or Dennis Hildeby, and maybe at times for Wall. But you know what? In a game where the Leafs needed a goalie to steal one for them, which they haven't had this year. That's a huge event last night, and he looks confident. He stared down some odd man rushes again, available to bail the Leafs out of some mistakes of their own doing. A couple of times, defensemen got caught pinching. I think that underlines maybe their lack of some more cohesive veterans back there with Tanev and Carlo being hurt, but a really on a night where the offense was struggling a bit and Greaves was playing well at the other end. Very, very big event, and also with Stolarz not quite on the radar yet. Even more important that Wall get back to where he was before, and there's a goaltending battle again on this team, which everyone, or not everyone, but a lot of people thought Stolarz was going to take the ball and run with it. That hasn't happened. So good for Wall that he's reestablished himself, especially after missing, as you say, training camp and a lot of time and development with his personal issue back home.
Yeah, if Joe Woll keeps playing this way, Stolarz can take all the time he wants to recover from whatever it is that he's dealing with, because the net will be, assuming that Wall keeps performing the way he did last night and really before. The net will be his to lose. They won last night because of Joe Woll. That's all there is to it. I mean, it's just the second time this year the Leafs have allowed less than 2 goals in a game. Both have been 2-1 overtime wins. I think the other one was against the Rangers earlier, but he's the guy. He is the reason they were able to hang around. And, even though Columbus takes the 1-0 lead late in the third, the Easton Cowan goal, and I don't know if I've seen a guy more relieved to score than Easton Cowan was last night after that beautiful shot went in over the shoulder of Jack Greaves. But yeah, Woll is just, kudos to him, right? I mean, not only does he miss all that time for the reasons that he did, but when you come back, you're not expected to hit the ground running. You're going to have to work up to playing well again. And really, since he has been back, 5 or 6 games now, he's been really solid for them. And, it certainly has come at a time when they needed it. They're going to need it to continue on the rest of this trip with 4 games left now. We're pretty sure that Hildeby is going to get a start here at some point, especially the back-to-back in DC and Pittsburgh on Friday, Saturday. But Joel Woll is, he got the belt last night, deservedly so. He's the reason why they started this off with probably the biggest regular season 2 points this team has needed in a long, long time.
I'd quickly add he's very disciplined, calm in there. You could tell Stolarz gets a little worked up, be it after a game with the way his team is playing, or losing patience with people running through him. Same thing happens to Wall, but I thought he's holding his own there.
Well, the good thing for the Maple Leafs as well, Terry, some big regulars came back for this game against Columbus. Matthew Nyes, Austin Matthews after a couple of weeks, and Nick Waugh as well. Of course, it's going to be an adjustment when guys miss time and they have to return and get up to game speed. But what did you make of their performances specifically, and just the team as a whole now that they did have some more healthy bodies back, at least up front?
Well, it wasn't great. I mean, let's be honest here. It's why we're talking about Woll stealing a game for them, right? I think the Matthews line was outshot 9-2 at 5-on-5. So not a great return for the line as a whole. Matthews had his looks, as he always does. Nyes had a few. But, it's going to take some time here. And really, I would imagine that at practice today in Washington, you're going to work on more on the 5-on-5 things that you need to get done. And, like Lance kind of alluded to in the first segment there, I mean, some of the, the chances you're giving up, a lot of grade A's still. So there still isn't that connectivity between the D men and the forwards. Is everything going to be solved in one game? No. But they have to be better. I think they probably know that, the lineup as a whole and the guys who came back. But, I think in the bigger picture, you don't go too crazy into dissecting it because it is 2 points. And like we said, they absolutely needed it any way you could get it. And it just so happens they get it on a, William Nylander in overtime after what looked like a little bit of a, back and forth with Berube at the bench during the third period. Nylander comes out and does what he does. And, not only that, but setting up Cowan for that goal as well after some fine work from John Tavares. But they can be better. They know it. I would think that they know it. And, there's still time to iron things out here before they come home. But yeah, Joe Woll, like we said, he's the reason why they left with 2 points. But, you take those and move on to DC.
Yeah, you know what? Interesting that Berube put Max Domi on that line. He's trying to get him going, and Domi's obviously had his issues this year, and it didn't really shake out the way they wanted. I think Domi got one or two maybe decent looks, but it'd be interesting to see if they keep him up there. They have certainly more options now with the other two guys coming back. But Matthews won his share of draws again. I think the hottest or angriest or most fired up I saw him, was on the bench. He was angry at a linesman for the way faceoffs were being dropped. So, he certainly didn't assert himself physically, which he's never been that kind of player anyway. It's not in his DNA. But you would like to see him use that big body sometimes, and can understand he's a little bit tentative coming back. Nyes as well, a little bit. Nyes with his timing might have finished off a couple of those good chances. He had some really juicy rebounds there. He couldn't tuck away. So there's going to be some issues there. Great to have Nicholas Waugh back as well on his line. With was playing with Robertson and McMahon, I believe, and that's got the potential to be a decent line, and certainly McMahon has more to give there too. So anytime you get two big centers back at once, that's huge for the Leafs, and they're going to need that going forward. Two very important games this weekend to keep trying to keep some momentum going on the road.
One thing I'll add to that too is I'll be curious to see how the lineup shakes out in Washington. Michelli and Joshua sitting last night, way overdue for Joshua. Michelli, whatever, I guess. I mean, he hasn't performed either. And Max Domi on the top line is a means to an end right now. It doesn't need to be. Certainly hasn't. His play hasn't led to him deserving of that shot. We'll see where it goes, but to me, it's more of a, like as Berube has talked about, it's having the pairs. You have one in Matthews and Nyes, and you try to figure out who best fits with them. But Domi last night, and we'll see where it goes. But I'll be curious to see whether the scratch players get back in. Do you weigh that, okay, we won, or do you weigh that, it wasn't a great game by the players in front of Woll overall? Curious to see how it goes.
Yep, we'll see what shakes down on Friday when the Maple Leafs square off against the Washington Capitals. As always, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. For Terry Koshan and Lance Hornby, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.